Area 51. Let's talk about the most infamous and mysterious place in the United States, Area 51. This top-secret military base, located in the Nevada desert, has been the subject of wild conspiracy theories, alien sightings, and endless speculation for decades. In fact, the area around the base is so heavily guarded that even trying to get close will probably result in you getting detained by a team of military personnel faster than you can say extraterrestrial. But what's going on inside this secretive base? Well, no one really knows. And that's where the fun starts. Some people believe it's where the government hides evidence of alien encounters. Others think it's where they develop experimental aircraft that are years ahead of anything we see in the civilian world. No matter how much the government denies it, we all want to know what they're hiding. The real kicker is that the US government didn't even officially acknowledge the base's existence until 2013, fueling speculation even more. If you're into the idea of UFOs, aliens, and government cover-ups, then Area 51 is practically ground zero for all your conspiracy theory dreams. But no, you can't just stroll into the base for a little alien autograph session. The moment you cross the boundary, you'll be met with warning signs, cameras, and possibly a few armed guards. Here's the kicker. The real reason behind Area 51's secrecy could be even more mind-blowing than aliens. It could simply be that it houses advanced military technology that the world isn't ready for, and we're all overthinking it with extraterrestrial theories. But wouldn't that be an even more shocking discovery? The US government keeping its cool while we all imagine little green men in hazmat suits? There are actually a few spots on the outskirts where civilians can safely take photos of the base, but it's a game of cat and mouse. Get too close and you might find yourself in the back of a military jeep with a one-way ticket to an interrogation room. But hey, what's a little danger when you're chasing UFOs, right? Morgan Island. Now, let's shift gears to Morgan Island in South Carolina, also known as Monkey Island. This place doesn't need aliens or government cover-ups to keep you on your toes. Instead, it's home to a massive population of rhesus macaques, and the last thing you want to do is get on their bad side. The island was originally home to a research project involving the monkeys, and while the research has slowed down, the monkeys, they're still living their best lives, completely wild. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Morgan Island is off limits to the public. Why? Well, the rhesus macaques might look cute, but they're not actually a cuddly bunch. The monkeys are known to carry diseases, and coming into close contact with them could be risky. And let's not forget, these monkeys have absolutely no interest in humans invading their turf. But let's not ignore the fact that Morgan Island is a haven for wildlife too. It's not just a monkey sanctuary, but a place where various creatures, including rare birds and other small animals, thrive in their natural habitat. Yet, the isolation makes it the perfect example of a place that should not be disturbed. So, while the monkeys are pretty dangerous to humans, the real takeaway is, some things are better left alone. And let's not forget the mystery that surrounds why it's so tightly off limits. Sure, the monkeys are part of it, but could there be more to the story? Maybe there's more here than just a bunch of monkeys and a few research projects. Whatever the reason, there's something undeniably intriguing about a place that's closed to the public, where no one really knows what's going on behind the scenes. Tomb of the King Shi Huang. Next on our list is the tomb of the King Shi Huang, China, the final resting place of China's first emperor. The tomb itself is located in the ancient city of Xiang, and while it might seem like a fascinating place to visit, it's completely off limits to the public. Why? Because it's full of secrets, and no one's quite ready to let them out. The tomb itself has been guarded for centuries, and while a large part of it remains untouched, there's one thing we know for sure. It's surrounded by an army. I'm talking about the Terracotta Army. Over 8,000 life-size statues of warriors, horses, and chariots, all made to guard the emperor in the afterlife. Now, here's the kicker. Archaeologists haven't even fully excavated the tomb. Some experts believe it's full of precious treasures, but the real mystery is the tomb's design. It's said to be molded after the emperor's life, and there are stories of rivers of mercury flowing through the tomb's chambers. The government's stance on this is pretty clear. No one is getting in there anytime soon. Some believe that disturbing the tomb could bring misfortune or even death, thanks to the emperor's reported obsession with immortality. The story goes that Qin Shi Huang was so determined to live forever that he sought out alchemists to create a potion for eternal life. It didn't work, but it's the same obsessive nature that made his tomb so elaborate and enigmatic. Despite the intrigue, it's probably best to leave this one alone. Who knows what treasures or curses lie within? The real kicker is that the emperor's tomb could hold answers to China's ancient history that we'll never fully understand. And that, my friends, makes it all the more captivating. Svalbard Global Seed Vault. If you ever wanted to visit the place where humanity might keep the world's last hope for survival, then the Svalbard Global Seed Vault is where you need to go. Located in the icy wilderness of Norway, this doomsday vault is designed to house seeds from a vast variety of plants worldwide. It means to protect the world's agriculture diversity in case of global catastrophe. Sounds like the most hopeful place on Earth, right? Well, not so fast. While the vault itself is open to authorized personnel, you can't just waltz in for a look at the world's backup supply of food. Why is it so secretive? For starters, the Svalbard Seed Vault is built deep into a mountain on a remote island, surrounded by permafrost. The idea is that no matter what happens to the world's climate, the seeds will remain safe and viable. But here's the thing. The vault is designed to store seeds for a future generation that might need them, but only if we ever manage to screw things up royally. Now, here's where it gets even stranger. The vault doesn't only store seeds of plants you're familiar with. It also stores rare and endangered species of plants from all over the world. The vault is the ultimate backup plan in case we destroy the environment beyond repair. But how many people truly know what's inside? The vault is surrounded by high-tech security and access is strictly controlled. What's even crazier is that, according to some conspiracy theorists, the Svalbard Seed Vault could have a much darker purpose. What if it's not just a place for saving seeds, but also a place to store something far more valuable? This adds an extra layer of intrigue to what is already one of the most important and secretive places in the world. Snake Island. Now, I don't know about you, but if I told you a place was called Snake Island, you'd probably stay far, far away. And for good reason. Located off the coast of Brazil, Snake Island is home to the golden lancehead pit viper, one of the deadliest snakes in the world. The island is so dangerous that the Brazilian government has made it illegal for anyone to visit without special permission. Why? Because if you step foot on that island, you're likely to meet one of the most venomous snakes on the planet. You might be wondering how bad could it be? Well, let's just say the snake population on Snake Island is so dense that one of these venomous vipers can be found every 11 square feet. But don't worry, the Brazilian government has thought this through. They've banned civilian access to the island to keep people alive and well. That said, it's not all doom and gloom. If you ever wanted to study venomous snakes, Snake Island has attracted some scientists, under very strict conditions of course. But here's the twist. Despite the island's hostile reputation, it actually has a rich history. It was once home to a lighthouse, and there are remnants of old buildings on the island. These buildings were abandoned after the lighthouse keepers mysteriously disappeared. Could it have been the snakes? Maybe not. In summary, Snake Island is one of those places you'd never want to visit but can't stop thinking about. It's dangerous, filled with venomous snakes, and completely off limits for good reason. So unless you're a snake expert with an appetite for danger, you might want to give this one a hard pass. Lascaux Cave. So, let's talk about Lascaux Cave in France. If you're a fan of prehistoric art, then this is the place you'd think you'd want to visit. Inside the cave are some of the most famous cave paintings ever discovered, depicting everything from bison to mysterious geometric shapes. These paintings are around 17,000 years old, and they've attracted attention from archaeologists, historians, and artists for decades. But here's the thing, you can't visit them. No, seriously, the cave has been closed to the public since the 1960s, and you might wonder why. The reason is simple but shocking: tourism. The more people visited the cave, the more the paintings were damaged. So, in an effort to preserve the paintings for future generations, the French government decided to lock the cave away and only allow a select group of researchers in. Interestingly, even though the cave is closed, there's still plenty of intrigue surrounding the Lascaux. The paintings themselves are a source of mystery. Why did these early humans create such intricate works of art? And what did they signify? Some experts believe the paintings may have had religious or spiritual meaning, while others think they were part of some ancient ritual. What's even more fascinating is that these cave paintings predate written language, making a snapshot of humanity's early attempt to communicate through symbols and art. Lascaux is one of those places where the forbidden nature only adds to its allure. If you ever get the chance to explore it, virtually that is, you'll be experiencing something truly ancient and profoundly human. But until then, just imagine what's hidden in those caves, waiting to be discovered. Povagia Island. Povagia Island, located in the Venetian lagoon, is often referred to as one of the most haunted places on Earth. The island has been off limits to the public for decades, and not without good reason. In its grim history, Povagia has served as a quarantine station for the bubonic plague and later became a mental asylum. What makes Povagia especially terrifying is its reputation for paranormal activity. Rumor has it that ghosts of plagued victims and former asylum patients still roam the island. One of the most infamous spots is an old bell tower that has reportedly driven people to insanity. Local legend says that the bell tower's bell rang without anyone pulling the rope. And get this, when the asylum was finally closed, it was allegedly due to the horrific treatment of patients. And even more spine-chilling, the head doctor, who reportedly ended up dying there in mysterious circumstances. Now, you'd think that all this negative history would deter any serious exploration of Povagia, but no. Some adventure seekers have actually tried to sneak in, only to be caught by the authorities, who are quick to remind them that this island is a no-go zone. Local officials have kept Povagia sealed off because of its grim past, but also due to safety concerns. The dilapidated structures pose serious risks. But here's the kicker. Despite the haunting reputation, Povagia has also become a symbol of the forgotten. It's the place where death, disease, and madness intertwined, and in a strange way, this only adds to its intrigue. For history buffs, it's a somber reminder of how a once thriving place was reduced to something far darker. As we continue to explore history, places like Povagia serve as eerie monuments to human resilience and, perhaps, to the deep desire to know what lies hidden in the past. The door to hell. If there's a place that will make you question whether you've accidentally wandered into the depths of Dante's Inferno, it's the door to hell in Turkmenistan. Officially known as Darvaza Gas Crater, this fiery hole in the ground has been burning non-stop since 1971. But why, you ask? Well, it all started when Soviet geologists were drilling for gas and, in typical Soviet fashion, something went terribly wrong. The ground beneath them collapsed, creating a massive crater, and in an attempt to avoid poisonous gas leaks, they decided to light it on fire, hoping it would burn out in a few weeks. That was over 50 years ago, and the flames are still going strong. Now, imagine standing at the edge of a crater that's over 200 feet wide with flames dancing in the darkness. The eerie glow from the fire, visible for miles, makes you feel like you're standing on a threshold of the underworld. But here's where it gets really interesting. The door to hell is still off limits to visitors. While it may look like a tourist attraction waiting to happen, the extreme heat and toxic fumes make it an absolute no-go zone. But despite the dangers, the door to hell has captured the imaginations of adventurers from around the world. Some have managed to sneak a peek at this infernal spectacle from a safe distance, snapping photos of the fiery abyss. But the Turkmen government has wisely chosen to keep this site restricted. The irony? The country has considered turning this natural wonder into a tourist hotspot. Here's the twist. Despite its terrifying appearance, the door to hell has actually become a symbol of resourcefulness. The fact that the fire still rages after decades of burning is a reminder of the uncontrollable forces of nature and human intervention. The crater isn't just a geological oddity. It's a glimpse into how human actions can create something both fascinating and, well, a little bit terrifying. Certi Island. Now, if you think you can just take a plane to Iceland and casually pop over to a brand new island, think again. Certi Island, which emerged in 1963 after a volcanic eruption, is one of the youngest islands in the world, and it's completely off limits to the public. Why? Well, as you might imagine, an island that was born from a volcanic explosion is still pretty unstable. But there's more to it than just safety concerns. Certi has become one of the most scientifically significant places on Earth because it's like nature's petri dish. Scientists have been studying the island's ecosystem as it slowly evolves, and human interference could ruin that delicate process. Certi has become a hub for scientific research, especially in fields of geology, biology, and environmental science. In fact, the island's status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site means that access is strictly regulated. The only people allowed to step foot on it are researchers with specific permissions. The island has provided scientists with a rare opportunity to study the process of ecological succession from scratch. No human interference, just nature doing its thing. Some of the first plant species to make their home on Certi were simple mosses and grasses, but over time, more complex plants, even birds, began to settle in. And while this is exciting for science, it's also why humans are kept at a distance. The fear is that any contact with outside organisms like seeds or bacteria from shoes could disrupt the fragile ecological balance. Despite being off limits, the allure to Certi Island has captivated adventurers, environmentalists, and conspiracy theorists alike. People have speculated about what the island could teach us about the future of Earth, and it has even sparked debates about how humanity should interact with newly formed environments. But for now, the island remains a scientific sanctuary, untouched by human hands.